friends, how's it going? Ash here, welcome back to Gents. Hope that you're doing well. It's getting spicy outside, so I figured let's talk about some fresh fragrances today, some freshies, but not just any freshies. These are ones that are way under the radar, way down here, totally unknown. At least if you're talking about your average person, totally unknown. You and me, we know about these. So yeah, some underrated, under-heralded, under-the-radar hidden gem type of freshies, and good thing, a couple of these you can pick up for about 20 bucks. Not all of them, you know, no promises that these are all crazy cheap, but some of them are. They'll all be linked in the description below. Feel free to check them out down there. Let's get started. First up, from Banana Republic, Neroli Woods. It has been a minute since I've really talked about some of these Icon Collection fragrances. That's a shame. Vintage Green I also thought about putting in this video, but I was like, nah, I can't do two Banana Republics, but know that that one's also super good. So Neroli Woods, it's already letting you know a couple of the notes right there. Neroli and Woods. Notice that it's woods, plural. There's sandalwood in here and cedar, along with solar notes. Mandarin leaf is one of the notes as well. At least, I believe it is. Also have orange blossom in here as well. So you get that very fresh sort of neroli, kind of citrusy, extremely clean, a little bit soapy. And yeah, it can remind you of things like Neroli Portofino from Tom Ford. It's in that style. The quality is really good, and that's pretty much across the board with these Banana Republic Icon fragrances. When they first came out, people were really hyped to pick these up because of that, because the quality was way higher than you might expect. And for a time, they were decently affordable from discounters. Nowadays, this one is a little bit pricier than it used to be anyway. It's like, I think around 50 bucks, something like that. Maybe a little bit more, a little bit less, but somewhere around there. And this is just a top-notch, easygoing, classy, fresh, clean, neroli-based fragrance. Really, really, really good stuff. Like I said, and I'll say it again and again and again, Vintage Green, also great. Let's go next to one of those mad cheapies. This one's from Karl Lagerfeld, and it's Bois de Yuzu. Bois de Yuzu? Or is it Bois de Yuzu? No, it's not. So like I said, this one's super cheap. From discounters, you can usually find this one for, you know, $20, maybe $22, something around there. That goes for a lot of Lagerfeld fragrances. So if you're looking for cheapies, it's a good brand to check out. I've always thought that the color scheme on this, not the greatest, because it's obviously a yuzu fragrance, yuzu forward, citrus forward. And so you would really want to convey this fragrance is fresh, clean, brisk, energetic. I've always thought the color scheme on this was a little bit off, like they kind of lost the plot, screwed it up a little bit, because it's Bois de Yuzu, right? Yuzu forward, citrus forward. So you really want to put that idea forward, stimulating, brisk, energetic, clean, enlivening. That's what you want people to think of, right? Citrusy. And then they were like, yeah, we'll give it like a cool yellow gradient. You know, it's really gonna pop, catch people's attention. I don't know, man. This looks like toilet water, kind of brownish, yellow, green, the gradient. It's not good. And I don't think that it really does a good job at conveying the fragrance. I bring that up because a lot of times with gradient bottles, it's really eye-catching. You're like, oh, that looks cool. And this one just looks legitimately like water that has some duty in there that somebody, you know, took a leak on. And then they were like, that's a good color. Put that as the color of the bottle. So as yuzu, ginger, bergamot, mint, orange, actually just a lot of citrus in there. There's also grapefruit. I mean, yeah, really just like all the citruses, basically, they're in here. You have a little bit of moss in there as it dries down. You do have to like yuzu. You have to like citrus that has a touch of sharpness to it. It's not like head-bashingly sharp or anything, but there's a little bit in there. A little bite to it, a little tang. But I think it's really well done. And if you're looking for a citrus-forward fragrance with good quality that's very cheap, this is a great place to start. Before we head to the next fragrance, guys, you know the drill. Here are some codes. Use these codes. Save yourself some money. GS10 is a new code for fragflex.com, $10 off any order over $99. You can use that 10 million times. GS11, 11% off the entire website. Once per account. Let's all be disappointed together. And it's the same with the code at the perfume box as well. But, you know, commit those codes to memory, save yourself some money. Let's keep going. Polo Sport Fresh. And this is another very affordable fragrance. This one is another one that's in that like $20 range, you know, 20 to 25, somewhere around there. And I mean, it kind of looks like it, right? It's got that classic Polo Sport bottle style here. The cap weighs absolutely nothing. Very dinky. And it looks very simple, the presentation overall. And the atomizer, ooh, it's awful. That is truly horrific. Some of those old school Ralph Lauren Polo fragrances, you know, they've got this style atomizer and they are just truly awful. I realize that they're probably pretty affordable, pretty cheap, but I know from experience, having creatively directed at this point 12 different fragrances, working on 2 more, that atomizers are not that pricey. I mean, yeah, you can shave money off, right? By getting an atomizer that's gonna be a few cents less than a different one, and when you're talking about tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of bottles, that adds up. That is just awful. You could spend like 2 pennies more and get something nicer. Okay, enough harping on the atomizer. How does it smell? Actually, pretty solid. All things considered, 20 bucks in that presentation style, it's pretty good. It has C notes, mint, mandarin orange, some sage in there, woody notes as well. It's another one, obviously very clean and fresh, and a little bit of a slightly creamy sweetness to it. Performance on it is okay. It's not amazing, but it's okay. But you could run into an issue where you feel like it's a very weak fragrance, and part of that could be that atomizer, so keep that in mind. It doesn't do a great distribution, so when you spray this one on, make sure that you're spraying enough on. I don't know, let's say 5-6 sprays. Understand that this one is pretty bad. You may want to do 10. After that, let's talk Cool Water Parfum from Davidoff. This one is pretty affordable also, not as cheap as the last 2 that we've talked about, but you can find it for about 30 bucks, and that's for a 50 ml size, so the smaller size. But still, 30 bucks, and if you want the 100 ml like this one, it's not too terribly much more than that. This one has a really simple note breakdown, so I think it just has 4 notes overall. Lemon, pink pepper, vetiver, sandalwood. That's your note breakdown. It does smell similar to another fragrance out there. A decently well-known fragrance, Dior Sauvage. Maybe you have heard of that one, I don't know. You know, it's not exactly underground, but yeah, it smells a bit similar to Sauvage. I'm just playing, of course, Sauvage, everybody knows that. So it's gonna give you a bit of citrus off the top, of course, that lemon I just mentioned, but then it has this ambroxany, modern, woodsy vibe that you pick up pretty quickly. It's very fresh, performance is good, obviously smelling similar to Sauvage. It's gonna be a good compliment puller as well. And yeah, it's just one of those fragrances that you could wear realistically just about whenever. After that, we have Ocean Noir from Michael Malul. So I mentioned before about the fragrances that I've creatively directed. 5 of those have been under Michael Malul. So of course there is some bias here. I know like everybody there, right? By the way, my fragrances, every Perfumania, every fragrance outlet store in the country, in the US, you can stop in and check those out. And you can also find those on Michael Malul's website, where if you use the code GENTS, GENTSCENTS, you get 20% off. Okay, Ocean Noir, let's talk this. This is one of Michael Malul's big sellers. This one moves in a big way. Like, they sell a lot of this stuff. It's got C notes, it has tangelo, coconut, and tonka. And this is one of those summer fragrances that works really well daytime or evening, because this one has a nice sweetness to it. So that aquatic feel, that's gonna give you good freshness off the top. But as it dries down, get that coconut, the tangelo, as I said, the tonka, it really sweetens up and it smells ultra pleasant. Like this is that type of fragrance that you can wear in the evening, hot summer night, and it will crush. Big compliment puller, great versatility, good performance as well. It's got pretty much everything that you would want. And when you compare this to other designer fragrances in terms of like apples to apples retail price, this is a sick deal. And then of course you can always get it like 20% off from their website, so you can get it even less than that. From there, a cologne. Not a cologne, a cologne. Cologne. Luciano Sunset Swim, which, yeah, just look at that. Very obvious Louis Vuitton clone, isn't it? So Sunset Swim is a clone of Afternoon Swim. Get it? Afternoon, sunset, I don't know. Which, this one is a very citrus forward fragrance. Once again, multiple citruses coming together here. And I mean, this is honestly like a fairly cheap atomizer, like clone atomizer, and check that out. It's still somehow better than the Ralph Lauren. So you got orange bergamot, ginger, ambergris as some of the notes in here. Kind of an aquatic feel to it as well. Louis Vuitton has some fantastic summertime fragrances. Really top-notch stuff in terms of the quality and also the wearability. But they are, of course, Louis Vuitton, which means they're really expensive and they're not really unknown. Can't be like, oh guys, Louis Vuitton, you never heard of that, right? But this one, this is not from a big clone house, or at least the name there, Luciano. That's not gonna be like, oh, Lattafa, I know that. Armaf, I know that. Fragrance World, I know that. Paris Corner, I know that, right? Luciano. Sounds like a head of a mafia family. I mean, the only Luciano that pops into my mind is Lucky Luciano, and that's not like fragrance related. From there, another affordable bad boy, Jimmy Choo, man. Ice. I just realized Jimmy Choo should come out with the flanker. Jimmy Choo Vanilla Ice. Think of it. Be a hit. This is one you can get around 25 bucks. So like I said, pretty affordable. And oh, let's check the atomizer. Ooh, that's a good one. Citron, bergamot, orange, and apple off the top here. So you have all that citrus, all that fruit. As it dries down, cedar, musk, ambroxan, some of the other notes that pop out here. Smells similar to Dior Homme Cologne. Really icy, as the name would have you believe. Fresh, touch of sweetness. This stuff is perfect on a really hot summer day. That's when this shines. Just refreshing, puts a smile on your face. It's that type of scent that wakes up the senses a little bit. But it's another one that very citrus forward, and that causes it not to have amazing performance. It's not awful, but it's not really super strong either. So you can go heavy with that one. Let's go to the forgotten Coach, Coach Blue. I feel like most of the time the original Coach is the one that gets the most love, and it makes sense. Huge seller, really cheap, great wearability, get that blue fragrance vibe going on. And then you have Coach Platinum, which is pretty popular. Also the new Coach Green, but Coach Blue, yeah, Coach Blue doesn't get as much love, does it? This one you can find around, 28 to 35 most of the time. So a pretty cheap fragrance overall. Lime, ozonic notes, black pepper, cedar, some of the notes in the scent here. I know I said Coach for men, it's got blue fragrance vibes, and it does. You would wear that, same time you'd wear something like Bleu de Chanel, for example. This one also blue fragrance vibes. Not a surprise, right? I mean, if Coach for Men has that kind of feel to it, and then this is Coach for Men Blue, yeah, surprise! It's also a blue fragrance. This one is maybe a little more airy, a little more citrusy to it. Not as much sweetness, actually. It just keeps things very fresh, spicy, airy, masculine. It's not anything crazy complex. It's not anything where you're gonna smell this and be like, oh my God, this is a revolutionary breakthrough, Coach Blue, wow. But it is the type of fragrance where you smell it and you go, oh, yeah, I could wear that just about anywhere. people are gonna like it, and I don't have to think about it. And also, it didn't cost me much of it. Let's go from there to Urban Feel from Ferragamo. The Uomo line started in 2016, and then we got an annual release every year up to 2019, which is when this one came out, and since then, yep, kind of sad actually. I used to really look forward to these. Had the original Uomo, Casual Life, Signature, and then Urban Feel. There was also like a limited edition scattered in there as well, but that one. So yeah, Uomo, I don't know. I guess we can pretty comfortably say it's kind of dead right now, right? It's one of those deals, no new fragrances in 5 years, and you're like, well, I mean, it could come back, right? Right? Nah, they're doing their new leather thing. Bergamot, ozonic notes, driftwood, and Broxton, some of the notes in the scent here. This one is fresh, it's sweet, and it has a little more warmth to it than really anything else that we've talked about. It's also decently zingy when you first spray it on, has like a little aromatic feel to it also. And I feel like sometimes it's a little bit overlooked, you know, it's a little underrated because it's actually really well done. It's a good casual fragrance, a good evening fragrance as well during the summertime. It smells decently unique. I know it's in this like blue bottle and everything, and you would think, it's just kind of a run-of-the-mill, who cares type of scent, but it does things in its own way. You know, it's not directly aping something else out there and just trying to copy it. It's also pretty cheap from discounters, under 40 bucks. Presentation, I think, looks pretty cool. Built-in atomizer works really well. It's a nice scent. I mean, you get a lot of bang for your buck here. So, Urban Feel, the last Uomo. Didn't know it at the time, did we? This thing came out and it was like, oh cool, I wonder what they'll do next year. Answer? Nothing. That's what they'll do, at least as far as the Uomo line is concerned. All right, let's finish it up with Bleu Noir Eau de Toilette Extreme. That's right. They thought about it. They were like, we could do Eau de Toilette Intense. No. How about Eau de Toilette freaking Extreme? Yes, that's what we'll do. And how extreme is it? It's actually pretty fresh and nice. Citrus, ice, basil, musk, and woods, basically. That's your note breakdown. I'm not sure exactly where the extreme fits in, other than maybe they mean it's extremely fresh compared to the other Bleu Noir fragrances. It does have that feel from the other Bleu Noirs, so if you've smelled those and you just despise them, this may not work for you. It is, though, freshened up compared to those. Has a little more sweetness, you know, off the top, I feel like. Or at least a different type of sweetness, you know, slightly, not really overly, but slightly like a little sugary there. Then you get that muskiness, a little bit of powder that comes out as it dries down, which is kind of par for the course for this line. I think it's a great freshie for spring and summertime, especially for people looking for something with a blue fragrance style, but with a little more classiness to it. So there we go. There are some underrated freshies that a lot of people don't know about. Thank you guys for hanging with me. Stay safe out there. See you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys later.